I lost you for a second there or something. Or maybe it was me.
Yeah, I think it was you. I think you froze up.
Okay. Where did you hear
It was
anything that I said?
right when I had finished saying like, it feels like something new is starting, like something fresh.
Oh, I didn't even hear that. I thought you would stop talking, and then I went and started talking. Okay.
Do you want
Let's
to
just redo the
over?
intro then.
Okay.
Because we're only a minute and a half in.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. We've got a lot of basketball to talk about on today's show, but a little shout out to the MLB. Welcome back, baseball. Happy for this. You can see I've got my Dodgers hat on. Keith's got his Yankees stuff on. We're ready to go, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Opening day, always a special day. Feels like the start of something new. Feels fresh. It felt a little bit different when I was still living up north. The first time you see the green field, and it feels like winter's over, right? And it's finally spring is coming, and school's ending, and summer's coming, and all that stuff. A little bit different here in Florida where I live now, where it's been 80, 90 degrees for a week, but it is what it is. Just answer and head off the questions because we're going to get a bunch of the newer viewers. Like, wait, I thought he was a Boston guy. Why does he have Yankee gear on? I am a Yankees fan, despite being from Boston. I did not grow up in a baseball family. They were basketball, football were my family sports. I went to a Yankees Red Sox game when I was 6. Don Mattingly gave me a ball. That was it. They became my team, and that was the end of the story. I've been a Yankees fan ever since. So, 40 years now I've been a Yankee fan. So it's it's a lot of fun. But yeah, man, I still love baseball season. It's a blast. It's nice to have games on. It's going to be great. But yeah, we've got a lot of basketball to get into.
We do.
Some pretty interesting stuff going on around the league too.
Unfortunately, a lot of injury stuff. So I mean, I guess a little bit of positive injuries. Well. No, I guess not even really.
No,
I mean, maybe if I spin it a little bit, but
a little bit, maybe.
Yikes. Okay, well, let's start with a positive then here. The Lakers, you well deserved. Jordan Goodwin got a standard contract. His two-way eligibility was up. It was the expected move. They waived Cam Reddish and converted Jordan Goodwin to a full contract. So congrats to Jordan Goodwin, who definitely deserved it, played his way onto a contract. Now, Keith, what we're all waiting for in Lakerland is to find out, okay, but is it like a 2-year deal? What are we talking here with Jordan Goodwin? That we don't know yet, but
yeah, I think it did get reported. Let me look. I want to say somebody reported it's a 2-year deal.
It's possible I missed it. I went and took a shower. So
yeah, it's a 2-year deal.
Okay.
He's got a team option that came from Chris Haynes.
That makes sense.
So yeah, which definitely makes sense. Normally, these late season conversions come with that additional year. Now we'll find out, is that really a team option or is that a non-guaranteed year? A lot of times reporting uses those interchangeably, even though they are different things. But yeah, the Lakers are going to have Jordan Goodwin, who's become a rotation player and a key rotation guy for the Lakers, plays kind of anywhere 1, 2, 3, depending on what the lineup constructions are, but has become a really key player for them. And Cam Reddish was not Cam Reddish got into a game the other day. I think it was the Bulls blowout, but beyond that, we haven't seen Cam Reddish play meaningful minutes in months and months and months. So you're getting Jordan Goodwin in there with that. Now, as we said on the show several times, they were going to let Jordan Goodwin's 2A eligibility run out, which ran out in last night's win over the Pacers. So now we'll see what happens. Trey Jemison has availability left. We'll cover him through the rest of the regular season eligibility, as does Christian Koloko. Question is, do they convert either one of those guys? And if they do, Alex Len, Markieff Morris, those are the only realistic options that would go. Markieff Morris, there's been a lot of reporting how much they love having him in the locker room and all that stuff. So I don't know if it'll be him, and then the challenge with Trey Jemison is he's already on a 2-year 2-way. So you've already got him in the fold for next season. But if they want him for the playoffs, they would need to convert him because, reminder, 2-way players not eligible for the postseason. Let's just put it that way. Playoffs, play-in tournament, anything. When the regular season ends on the 13th, that's it for 2-way guys, even if they have eligibility left. They can't play. 2-way players cannot play past the regular season. So we're going to see if the Lakers do another move. Jordan Goodwin, we knew it was coming for sure, and it's the right move by the Lakers to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would be surprised if they decided to move on from Markieff Morris, particularly. It would probably be Alex Len, but Alex Len is a guy who I think the question comes down to, how much better are you if you're playing Trey Jemison over Alex Len? And I think the reality is they probably wouldn't be playing either of them in a playoff situation. We've been seeing them do this lately. They've been, rather than turning to anybody off the bench as a big, they're just playing smaller, using, Rui Hachimura or LeBron nominally as the 5. I would imagine that would be the case, which, if that's the way they plan to go into the playoffs, then maybe it makes sense just to say, hey, we'll keep Trey Jemison on a 2-way contract next year rather than bump him up. But we'll see. We'll see. It could be they just decide, you know what, just in case we really want a big and we just don't trust Alex Len's infamous back tap of doom. That to really help us in the postseason, and so we'll promote Jemison. So they still have that decision to make all the way until the end of the season. But Jordan Goodwin does get bumped up, and remember, he would not have been able to continue playing if they didn't do this right now. He would not be eligible to play in tonight's game against the Bulls if they didn't do this. So this is why there was urgency to do it now.
And I think with Alex Len, too, part of the reason maybe you keep him is if you're looking forward into the playoffs, you're looking at Nikola Jokic, Zach Edey, who else? Isaiah Hartenstein,
Alperen Sengun,
sure. Potentially Ivica Zubac. More rugged, physical type centers who, quite frankly, Alex Len's a better matchup for. You could throw him out there for 10 minutes and say, hey, just be physical, use your 6 fouls, beat up on Nikola Jokic. You're not going to get that out of Jemison or Koloko. That's not really kind of guys they are. I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not even going to be critical if they convert either Jemison or Koloko and get rid of Len. We'll see. I meant to ask you this the other day. Markieff Morris, interesting comments by his brother saying LeBron pushed for him to be in the trade, the Anthony Davis trade, which completely counters the idea that LeBron didn't know anything about the trade.
I saw that, but apparently in the interview, that Markieff, when he was traded, when he heard he was getting traded, was thinking about retiring. And that was part of it, that LeBron called him at that point and said, hey, don't retire. I really want you here.
Maybe.
Or talk to him somehow.
Once it had already been reported.
Right. Once it had been so that's a little bit unclear. Right. Yeah.
So otherwise, that's something's off there with that. It's not worth spending a lot of time on, but I thought it was kind of interesting the way that came out there. So interesting too. I thought the other thing that was funny was LeBron's comments, like Brian Windhorst acts like he's my best friend.
The Stephen A. Smith stuff on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah, the Stephen A. Smith stuff is absolutely idiotic. So stupid. The guy's just a character at this point. He's not even a real person.
Oh, he is. I mean, people are like going, "Oh, Stephen A. Smith is down bad. He's getting crushed," and I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, he is, but he loves this. I mean, he's getting all the attention,
him, us included."
Yeah.
He's just everything that comes out of his mouth and Kendrick Perkins in one ear out the other, and done. If I even see them on the pregame shows and stuff, I don't even bother really paying attention or watching. I just kind of skip and go do something else until the game starts, because they don't watch a lot of games. They repeat the same nonsense talking points over and over and over again, and then people regurgitate it like it's facts, or they just get angry about what they say. I mean, they're both playing characters at this point. They're not even people.
Yeah, we're starting to see like former players that show up on random shows or whatever show they want to be on are starting to get aggregated.
Yeah.
As like player, this guy said this, and it's just a hot take. It's just, whatever. But people respond to that. And that's the whole point, right, of a hot take, is say something that's controversial, that's going to put everybody either on one side or the other. It's like, why did people get so into do pineapples belong on pizza, right? Like 10 years ago or whatever. Why was that such a thing? Like everybody was talking about, do pineapples? Why? Because everybody has an opinion on it. It's a very strong thing. You either really like it or you really hate it. And so if you create that topic, a lot of people are going to respond and argue vehemently on one side or another. It's the same thing when you have a hot take. Hey, Jordan is better. This is the worst topic ever, but Jordan is better than LeBron, or LeBron is better than Jordan. And then you pull the pin and you throw the grenade and you run away, and everybody just gets all upset about it.
Yeah.
And that's the job. That's the job. And unfortunately, I think actual basketball analysis does get lost in all of that in the effort to create a viral clip of people arguing over something like that.
Let's flip to one positive thing before we get into a slew of injury updates. Yeah. Tim Legler is like the new JJ Redick for ESPN, meaning somebody who clearly loves the game, thinks deeply about it, gets super into it. Like, he is awesome. He did the Celtics Suns game last night. I know you probably didn't catch much or any
I
of it
didn't.
because by the time you were done with Lakers post game, it was already Boston was blowing him out. But he was so good on that game. And he basically did like just multiple reminders of, hey, I know there's been a lot of this discussion of the Celtics are boring because all they do is shoot 3-pointers. And he was like, they just had a 12 pass possession to create a wide open 3-point look where the Suns were scrambling all over the court.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, that's how can you say that's boring? Like, it's beautiful basketball. And then he did this whole thing about Kevin Durant and like how Kevin Durant, what makes him so special is he doesn't have to be open because he's so big. He could get such good lift on his jump shot that he can just hit shots. Like, you just can't bother his shot with very many defenders. He's so good on the game. And it was kind of nice that it turned into a blowout for a lot of the reasons. Other than I was happy the Celtics blew him out, but he had time to kind of get into like the nerdy stuff too a little bit, like play design and different things. So that was a lot of fun. He's really good. That's what he reminds me of, like what we lost with JJ as overall basketball fans with him going to the Lakers is Tim Legler can replace that. Now, JJ also had that quality a little bit of he's kind of a jerk. Like he would be the first one to admit it, where like he would like intentionally be like, yeah, I'm going to make you mad, but I'm going to say this, even though I know it's going to make you mad. But he also knew he believed it, where Legler's not. He doesn't really have that part of it. So I don't know if he'll ever take off fully the way JJ did, but he's really, really good on these broadcasts.
Well, and that's, I mean, looping it back to the hot take thing, that's what frustrates. I'm like, are you just saying that because you want to get a reaction for saying that, or do you actually believe what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's that, and we've talked about that, but that's my frustration with all when we get it, when we just, I don't know, devolve, I guess is the word, into these just constant hot take, and it's just, you're just looking for a reaction. It's cheap heat, essentially. It's like in the wrestling world, right? When a guy comes out and trashes the hometown crowd, the hometown city, and things like that, you get everybody to boo you. That's what all you're trying to do is get a reaction. Does the guy really think that they're saying? Does he really think that Sacramento is just this cow town or whatever? No, probably not. But you say it so that you get the reaction, and then you get other people coming in and going, "Oh yeah, he's right," and all this. And I don't know. It's all engagement farming.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Let's get it. Well, okay. Brace yourselves. Injury time.
Yeah, it's a slew of injuries.
Joel Embiid, knee treatment plan is starting to round into focus here. What with Joel Embiid, I just hope we can get not the Joel Embiid that we saw this past year. He did not look right at any point in the season. It was difficult to watch him. You could see how difficult it was for him to move around on the court. That's not what we're used to seeing on him. So whatever the plan they settle on, I know they're getting closer to deciding, okay, this is how we're going to approach this. Whatever it is, I hope it's successful. He is way too good of a player to suddenly be the guy that we saw last season. I just hope there's whatever they come up with, I hope there's a real path to success with this plan, because we need like a functional Joel Embiid back.
Yeah, I will say I'm a little frustrated, a little worried. He's been shut down for a month now.
It's taken
and
this
we're
long.
Still there. That worries me that the team, somebody is looking for how can we do this non-surgically, which I'm not placing blame on anybody, because ideally, right, nobody undergoes surgery just if you can avoid it. But I am worried that like we've lost a month now of recovery time. Hey, if there's surgery needs to happen, you could have had it by now and already been starting on rehab. So I'm just worried about that we don't have a real answer yet on this. And if that means, I don't know, let's say he's back at Christmas, well, that could have been back at Thanksgiving. Yeah. And now we're a month delayed on when he could be back. And to be clear, we don't know. Maybe he'll be back at the start of the year, right? Depending on what option they take and what needs to be done. But it is worrisome. But mostly, like, let's make a decision. Let's move forward, and let's get the Joel Embiid back to as an absolute dominant player.
Yeah. Nick Nurse saying that he's weighing options and that we're close to the point of him making a decision on which route he's going to take. So It seems like there's multiple pathways here in front of him. Then he's got to make that choice on what he wants to do. I still don't have a good sense of exactly what the problem is. Like, obviously, he's
Oh
got knee
yeah,
issues,
I don't
but
think we've been told. I think
no,
it's general. The knee is bad, I guess,
yeah,
is the best way to put it, and he'll get it fixed.
bad knee syndrome. Okay, well, hopefully everything works out here with Joel Embiid. Let's move on with the injury gauntlet here. Gary Payton II, torn thumb ligament, is going to miss significant time due to this. The Warriors, I mean, they already had that Steph Curry injury issue. Now Gary Payton II, who's an important role player for them,
Mm-hmm.
is going to be out. Now, I do like, though, Keith, that they're not declaring him out for the season, out
Sure.
for the year, anything like that. That's a good sign, because this time of year, a stub toe can be you're out for the season. And sometimes that depends on where your team's at. Are you tanking? Are you not? That's certainly a factor, and we'll look at that in a minute. But Gary Payton II, torn thumb ligament, not good, especially when the Warriors are really trying to fight for playoff positioning right now.
Yeah, and it's in his left thumb, and he's a left-handed player,
Yeah.
so that's a challenge there. We don't know if he's having struggles, shooting, holding onto the ball, passing. That can be a challenge. We saw Karl-Anthony Towns was able to get to a point where he could shoot, but passing and dribbling was a problem when his thumb was an issue earlier. But he kept playing and then was fine. So maybe Peyton is able to get there. This is important because he's their best guard defender on the roster. They can get by with other guys, but Peyton is clearly that's the role he plays for them. He's kind of their defensive stopper in the backcourt. So that's an important, considering look at all the teams they could be playing, right? You've got Anthony Edwards maybe in a playing game, and then you've got in a first round series, if they're the anywhere, if they're 7, who knows who they'll play, but if they're 8,
Sure.
if they were playing the Thunder, you got SGA who you got to deal with. You'd like to have Peyton available for that. So hopefully we've got about 2.5 weeks. Maybe that gets them back on the floor, and we'll see where it goes.
And the Warriors have slipped back into the play-in. Part of that is the Clippers have surged ahead here. They're 8-2 in their last 10. The Warriors are 7-3, and so right now the Warriors are the 7th seed. And boy, that would be a crazy play-in matchup. The Warriors and the Wolves.
Yeah,
Ooh.
be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Not quite Warriors Lakers from a couple years ago, but that was like
the first year of the play-in.
Like, yeah. Second year, right? Because the first year was in the bubble. Remember, that's why they introduced it. And we had the
that's right. I forgot about the bubble play-in.
Maybe? Yeah,
I forgot, because in the East, though, there was somebody, wasn't it Washington or somebody that didn't?
The East did not have to do it because they finished far enough ahead.
Correct, right. So because there was too much of it. Should we still have that?
I think so. Yeah,
if there's a gap, what was it, between 8 and 9? If there's enough of a gap between the two, then you don't do a play-in.
Yeah, I would be fine with that.
Yeah,
to be completely honest, they're not going to do it because they've now sold this as a whole event package which I'm fine with. I mean, the play-in tournament's fun. I enjoy it. It's fun to get the March Madness like stakes of of that in the NBA. Can I say one quick thing?
Yeah.
At first, when I read this, I was like, Gary Payton II, Tom Thumb ligament. I was like, what's
the R in the end?
Tom Thumb ligament. I don't know if I've ever told you this. Tom Thumb owned a house 1 town over from me, in close enough that we would ride our bikes by. It was known as the Tom Thumb house, and
Really?
all of the floors and steps were all in windows were all low, and they were all sized for him and his wife, who was also a little person.
That's cool.
Thumb. So yep. So shout out to Middleborough, Massachusetts, the Tom Thumb house.
A little bit of history there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, looking at, if they still have that rule, there would be no play-in in the West, because the Wolves are 19.5 games back. The Kings are 25 games back.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on, the injury gauntlet here. Kyrie Irving has ACL surgery. Obviously, we knew this was coming, and now he will start the recovery process. Obviously, rare that you hear it wasn't a successful surgery, but successful ACL surgery for Kyrie Irving. And now we'll see, how long this takes. I mean, Keith, it's always, people say, oh, he might be back middle of next year. It's hard to know for sure, because for some guys it takes longer than others, and for some guys, even when they come back, they're not really back. And other guys, they come back and they're like, okay, yeah, you're 90% or 85% of what you were. So there's a lot up in the air with this. So it's going to be difficult to pinpoint an exact time frame of when Kyrie Irving should be back on the floor. And obviously they're hoping for sometime next season, but I think the one thing for sure is it's not going to be the start of the season.
No, definitely not. And there is a thought process out there that older players will sometimes come back earlier from these things. Not necessarily like they're coming back when they're 80%, but just they aren't trying to preserve 10 more years of a career. It's like 3 to 5 more years. So if I come back and play a little earlier, it cuts some games off. It is what it is, and I can go. So we'll see if that's where it goes with Kyrie or not. But yeah, I think we're thinking best case scenarios All-Star break ish probably next year for him. Maybe right around that trade deadline time. With that, he'll likely have a new contract at that point. We'll see what that looks like with the player option this summer with the Mavs. So let's see ultimately what happens here. But yeah, I think good news. Kyrie's healed up and on the path to recovery. And to be clear, the Mavs have not said anything. Just further updates to come as appropriate, or whatever the phrasing they use.
Right. All right. Jordan Clarkson out for the remainder of the season, dealing with plantar fasciitis. Apparently had a procedure. The Utah Jazz, who are very actively tanking, and maybe that's another topic, tanking in general for a show that we could do. But sure. Jordan Clarkson, Studio Stu checking in here.
Hey, there he is. He hasn't been on the last couple of shows. We had people in the comments on the last show asking for him.
Well, you know what it is he's been really into sleeping in my daughter's room right now. And that's been like his spot suddenly. And her door's closed right now, so he can't get in there. So he's like, fine, I'll come up here, so I'll slum it with you. But Jordan Clarkson out for the season with plantar fasciitis, and the Utah Jazz have no incentive to try to put him back out on the floor if he's feeling any kind of discomfort. It's great season. We'll see you next year.
Yeah, that's it. Rest up, get healthy. Maybe he's not even on the Jazz next year. We'll see. Yeah. That's obviously going to be a roster very heavily in flux this offseason. So we'll see what it looks like. But yeah, no reason to play him, let him get healthy and go from there.
Now, we've got Larry Nance Jr., who's been dealing with a broken bone, who's out for the regular season, but then he'll be reevaluated. So it's not even for sure like he'll be back playoff time. He'll get reevaluated after the conclusion of the regular season, and then we'll kind of see what's what for Nance and the Hawks. But he hasn't played since February. So I think the Hawks are going to be moving on kind of without him in the rotation. Then if he's able to come back, he comes back and great, and they'll go from there. But I would imagine, Keith, the Hawks stay in the postseason will not be super long. I guess I don't want to.
I think they'll make the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just saying they're not. It's not like, well, they're going to make it Eastern Conference Finals run again, and so then they're going to be okay. Like right now, assuming they stay in the play-in, which based on the standings, they should stay in the play-in. Let's say they survive it. Okay, even if best case scenario they're the 7th seed, great. You get Boston round 1, you go home, right? Like so. You're not going to, there's not going to be a lot of opportunity is what I'm saying for. It's not like they're going to be playing deep into May or something like that, where there's going to be chance for Larry Nance Jr. to fully heal up. And then, okay, we're going to bring him back in round 2 or something like that.
Yeah. A good experience to get Zach Risachet in there. Let him get, some playoff experience. Let him see what it's like to play in the postseason and kind of go forward. I'm curious to see what that Hawks team could be next year. I think there's a chance they could be kind of frisky. I love Jalen Johnson. Hopefully he's back fully healthy. Still have Trae Young, Risachet a year in. And for those who maybe checked out on the Hawks, Zachary Risachet has been playing really, really well.
He has.
For a few months now. Like he's steadily gotten better. Really shooting the ball well, playing with more confidence. So, fun player. I think the future's pretty bright in Atlanta. I'm not going to go as far as being like, they'll, title contenders or anything, but they could make it's shorter to go, but a Pistons like jump where it's they're in the mix for home court next year if everything goes right with guys healthy and the like, because they've got that kind of talented roster.
He's Risachet in 27 minutes a night in the month of March, averaging 16 points per game, only 4 rebounds, not even giving you 1 assist, block, steal, or anything like that. So the other stats have got a little ways to go, but 53% from the field, 39% from 3.
That's the numbers right there.
Exactly. And we've seen him attacking the basket. I've seen throw down a few dunks here and there. And he's looked pretty solid. Has multiple 22-point games this month, had a 27-point game. He's starting to find his way.
Yeah, taking more shots off the dribble now too, which is good because that's self creation is huge. More guys you can put on the floor that can create their own look. The harder you are to defend, if with that. So yeah, it's a fun team. I mean, they're not going to be Boston or Cleveland, but they can at least be a little frisky. They'll take a game in that series because you'll have Trae Young scores 40 and somebody else steps up, and but I don't think it'll go any further than that.
All right, let's finish things off with the NBA Europe update. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. The NBA potentially looking to expand into Europe with a new NBA European League. I keep hesitating to call it the Euro League for obvious reasons, but the NBA Europe League. I haven't seen this update, so Keith, fill me in.
Yeah, nothing major, nothing from the NBA side. There was no vote yesterday. I know there was talks of there might be a vote this week, and we still don't fully know if that's definitely happening, definitely not happening. But what the update here was, multiple European soccer clubs have now said, we maybe could do a basketball team and be a part of this, where they would be kind of the sponsoring element, the owner of the team, and kind of step into the league. A list of cities was, kind of put out. It's all the ones you would expect. It's, Paris, London, Manchester, Madrid, Barcelona. With that, there was a report that Fenerbahce from Turkey could maybe be a team that jumps. The NBA is heavily interested in Barcelona and Real Madrid's basketball teams jumping over into the league. I heard read one report that said maybe the London Lions. If people know them, that's the team Sam Decker played for. They heavily invested in getting a bunch of guys because they were trying to get into EuroLeague. Where British Basketball League has not generally been very strong. It's been like very much a second or third tier league in Europe, but there's real momentum behind this, and you're going to see this become a real thing here. I think probably within the next few years, they're talking about starting it with the 2026-27 season. So you're fairly quickly, not next year, but the year after, that this could be in place. So it'll be interesting to see, how this all comes together.
And there was something that came out earlier today that the NBA is looking at potentially doing a Super Cup of sorts to face European parts in preseason. So that could all get wrapped into creating more attention on Europe and maybe furthering this whole endeavor.
Yeah, I still believe in our lifetimes, hopefully mine if I take better care of myself, we will see a version of a true world championship where we will have, maybe the leagues will be Europe, Africa, South America, North America, maybe Asia gets involved somewhere in there. Maybe we split a region or something. Maybe Australia's in there, but we will see some form of true world championship where the NBA, as we know it, will exist as the North American conference league, whatever it is, where that will introduce, whoever wins that will go into a tournament and play against, the winner from Europe and the winner from whatever. And maybe that's, becomes a thing that happens in July. There'd be a lot of work and a lot would have to happen with all of that, and a lot of tweaking of schedules and the like Australia season's over already. China's season's wrapping up. So you can't have them be done and then go months and months without playing and then be like, all right, now they're going to play. So we'll see what that looks like. But I do believe in our lifetime that's where this is headed. And I think the NBA, if they have their druthers, it'll be under their umbrella. It will be the NBA owns and controls all of this. And really FIBA is pushed off to the side and they're not really, a part of this anymore. I think that's where the league would like to go. And, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, that's more what I'm thinking. I just, I wouldn't start planning for anything anytime soon, but that's how you get it started, right? You start with this, then you start with, hey, the winner of our European league's going to play, the winner of the NBA finals in a, tournament or whatever it is. And you do a little mini tournament in the preseason and see how it goes. And I don't know anybody who would complain about that.
Yeah. That'd be kind of fun. That'd be cool to see.
Yep.
Cool to see. All right. Well, we've got a lot of baseball on starting in just a few moments. We've got A lot of basketball on tonight as well. A lot of stuff going on in the sports
Tournament's
world.
picking back up tonight
That's right.
too.
That's
So
right.
yeah, I mean it's a great sports night. All around should be a lot of fun. What do you got? The no, they don't. Oh, they do play Matt.
They
Oh,
do
the
play.
rematch.
Another
The Bulls
back-to-back.
tonight.
Yet
Yeah,
another.
yeah.
God,
With
the
Bulls,
Lakers are cursing Adam Silver at this point.
right? At this point.
But
Yeah.
another back-to-back. But no, my wife and daughter are on a field trip for her school.
There you go.
And so they're out of town tonight. They're coming back tomorrow. But I'm like, man,
Great.
I've got this crazy sports day. I've got baseball on all day.
This
We've got
guy.
NBA. We've got the March Madness tournament going on. Everything. I am going to watch all the sports I possibly can today, and it's going to be great.
Order some wings and call it a night or something.
Right.
There you go. Perfect. That's it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
It should be fun. And for those folks who are in the tournament after the end of the weekend, we'll do it. We'll do another update on Monday of where things stand as we get ready to head into the Final Four after this weekend. But yeah, it's going to be fun. Few days of hoops and everything else coming.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining the show. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.